Forget the castles. Forget the chivalry. Forget every Hollywood movie that sold you a fairy tale of gallant knights and ladies in flowing silk. The romanticized Middle Ages are a lie. The truth, the grim, filthy, unfiltered truth, is that you wouldn't last a single day. And your trial doesn't start on a battlefield. It starts the moment you wake up. Congratulations. You've just woken up in the year 1325. The first thing you register isn't the light. There is no light. Your home is a one-room wooden hut with no windows and a dirt floor. The first thing you register is the smell. It's a thick, complex symphony of stale beer, human sweat, goat, smoke, and something you pray isn't mold, but you know in your soul probably is. The second thing is the itch. It's a familiar, agonizing, crawling sensation. You're not sleeping on a memory foam mattress. You're on a half-rotted straw pallet, a thriving metropolis for fleas, lice, and bedbugs. They live on you. They live in your clothes. They live in your hair. And everyone has them. Nobles, lousy monks, itchy children, everyone. Scratching isn't rude. It's just breathing. You try to stretch, but your joints crack like an old wooden door. You're 22 years old, which, in medieval terms, is roughly middle-aged. The air is freezing, and you're wearing your entire wardrobe. It consists of exactly one outfit, a single rough wool tunic that you have worn every day for months, possibly years. It hasn't been washed, and it's stiff with accumulated grime and sweat. Underwear is optional and unlikely. You swing your bare feet off the pallet, and they land on the floor. It's either wet from last night's rain leaking through the roof or crusty from something the chicken did. That's right. Your family, your livestock, and all the insects live, sleep, and breathe in this one single room. Privacy is a word that hasn't been invented. But before you can even think about your hunger, nature calls. And in the 14th century, nature doesn't call politely. It screams. You start missing the modern world right about now. There is no toilet, no seat, no flush, no toilet paper. Your bathroom is a wooden bucket in the corner. It's already full because Uncle Wolfstan had a rough night after eating bad turnips. The smell is biblical. You hold your breath, do your business, and then, here's the kicker. You pick up the bucket, stumble to the doorway, or the window if you have one, and you toss it into the street. You're supposed to shout, "Garde-loup," Old French for "watch out below," but frankly, no one ever moves fast enough. The streets in medieval towns are not charming cobblestone paths. They are open sewers. A thick, charming river of human waste, animal droppings, rotten food, and mystery liquids you would rather not examine. This is what you walk through, barefoot, if you don't own shoes. So, you're standing there, covered in lice, feet caked in filth. You think, I'll just wash my hands, maybe take a bath. No, you won't. Because in the Middle Ages, bathing is considered medically dangerous. People genuinely believed that washing with hot water would open your pores and let the disease in. That's right, you were considered cleaner and safer if you never removed the protective layer of filth caked onto your skin. So, no bath. But what about your teeth? You want that fresh, morning smile. Except you don't. Because in the Middle Ages, smiling is a dangerous game, dentally. There is no toothbrush, no toothpaste, no floss. By the time you hit your mid-20s, your smile looks like something pulled from a haunted crypt. Cavities are rampant, gums are swollen. Rot is a fact of life. And if you get a toothache, the kind of pain that makes you consider pulling it out yourself, that's exactly what happens. You don't go to a dentist, you go to the barber surgeon. The same guy who cuts your hair will pull your molar out by candlelight with an iron hook and zero anesthesia. If it gets infected, you hope you like fevers, because without antibiotics, that simple toothache can turn into sepsis and kill you. You're still standing in the hut. Your teeth throb. You itch, and you're thirsty. You just want a glass of water. Do not drink the water. In medieval times, water isn't your friend. It's trying to murder you. The nearby stream looks clear, but upstream, someone just dumped their chamber pot into it. A dead pig is decomposing in it. That fresh water is teeming with parasites, bacteria, and the entire microbial army of medieval Europe. One wrong gulp, and you're spending your final days clutching your stomach in a straw bed. So, what do you drink? Beer. Yes, beer. At 6 a.m. It's called small beer. It's weak in alcohol, but strong in survivability. The brewing process boiled the water, making it safer than anything that flowed through the town ditch. Kids drink it too. No one's happy about it, but at least it won't kill you immediately. Now that you've had your morning ale, it's time for breakfast. You're not having eggs Benedict. You're not having avocado toast. You're having pottage. Welcome to your daily ration of pottage. It is a thick, gloopy, gray stew made of whatever you can find. Grains, root vegetables, maybe a few beans. It's been simmering in the same pot over the fire for days, maybe weeks. New ingredients are just dumped on top of the old ones. It's less of a recipe and more of an ongoing, edible experiment. On the side, you have a hunk of bread, but this bread is so hard it could deflect arrows. It's made from coarse rye, and to make it stretch during a bad harvest, it's often bulked up with sawdust, ground up acorns, or even clay. You don't slice this bread, you negotiate with it. Now that you're properly underfed, it's time to work. If you're like 90% of the population, you are a peasant. Your job is simple. Don't die while laboring for someone else's comfort. You work the land that belongs to a lord who doesn't know your name. You rise with the sun, and you stop only when it disappears. There is no weekend. There is no clocking out. There is no 401k. There is no retirement.
You work until your spine begins to resemble the letter S, or you just stop showing up. And if you're a woman, congratulations. You do all the field work, and you care for the children, cook, clean, spin wool, and feed the animals. The work is brutal, but the real terror begins when something goes wrong.
Let's say you get sick. You develop a fever. You're coughing. You don't go to a doctor. You don't have one. You have a barber surgeon, or perhaps a monk. And they don't have medicine. They have the humors. Medieval science believed your entire body was governed by 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. If you were sick, it just meant your internal soup was out of balance. Got a fever? Clearly, you have too much blood. The answer? Bloodletting. They will drain your life force into a bowl using a dull blade or a hungry leech. Feeling sad or anxious, that's an excess of black bile. The cure? Laxatives. Violent, purging laxatives. They thought disease came from bad air or from God being annoyed with your moral failings. Got a stomach ache? Must have been your sinful thoughts. You are literally surviving the cure.
But let's say you're not sick. Let's say you're accused of a crime, stealing a loaf of bread, or just looking at a noble's horse the wrong way. You don't get a lawyer. You don't get a jury. You get trial by ordeal. This is where medieval justice becomes a terrifying game show, where the prize is survival. In one version, you have to stick your hand into a pot of boiling water and retrieve a stone. After, your hand is bandaged. If it heals without infection in 3 days, you're innocent. If not, you're guilty. Another option, they toss you into the river. If you sink, you're innocent and probably dead. If you float, you're guilty because the pure water rejected your sinful body, and you'll be punished anyway. There is no winning. There is only suffering. And if you are sentenced to death, that is a public event. It's family entertainment. Executions are performed in front of cheering crowds. People bring snacks.
This entire system, your life, your death, your very thoughts, is controlled by one single, inescapable entity: the Church. In medieval Europe, religion isn't just part of life. It is life. It controls your calendar, your laws, your birth, your marriage, and your death. And the Church's greatest tool isn't hope, it's fear. Hell is not an abstract concept. It is vividly, terrifyingly real. Priests describe it in glorious, agonizing detail. Rivers of fire, lakes of boiling blood, demons with pitchforks. And you'll believe every word of it because you can't read the Bible yourself. It's in Latin, a language you'll never learn. You rely on the priest to interpret God's will. Eat meat on a Friday? Sin. Think about your neighbor's wife? Double sin. Your entire life is spent on your knees trying to earn a paradise you can't imagine, just to escape a hell you can. This is the world. It's a world of itch and ache, of filth and fear. The average life expectancy hovers around 30 to 40 years, but that number is dragged down heavily by the fact that nearly half of all children die before reaching age 5. Disease, malnutrition, one bad winter, that's all it took. You don't retire, you just stop showing up. The simpler times weren't simple. They were relentless. They were gritty, cruel, and deeply unfair. Everything took longer. Everything hurt more. Everything from childbirth to chewing came with deadly consequences. But here's the wildest part. Through all of this, all the filth, the famine, the feudalism, people still laughed. They sang songs. They told stories. They fell in love. Not because life was easy, but because humans are stubborn like that. Even in the darkest chapters, they made space for light. So tonight, when you slip into your clean bed, when you turn on a tap and clean water comes out, when you flush a toilet or take an antibiotic for a simple infection, maybe say a quiet thank you, because that is the real magic. That is the luxury. That is the fairy tale that our ancestors, covered in lice and praying for sunrise, could never have possibly dreamed of.